And there is a reflection of everyday life in Impressionism that allows us to see ourselves in it. And I will hopefully show a little bit about that today, and we can kind of more fully appreciate Impressionism, and we can understand where it came from, and also why it's still very relevant for us today. Okay? Are there any questions before I start? No?
Not yet.
Okay, not yet. Okay. So Impressionism is a style that did develop in France, and the French are trendsetter. That's where we're going to begin. And it was, and it still is, a cultural and artistic hub for Europe. Many Romanian artists, actually, in the 19th century, early 19th century, mid-19th century, later 19th century, traveled to Paris and studied in the École des Beaux-Arts there. There's a very famous school here of Romanian artists that is heavily influenced by the Impressionists. People like, help me out, Grigorescu, Palladio, exactly. I mean, it's stunning, actually, because if you go to the museum downtown on Cale Victoriei, Museum of Modern Romanian Painting, that gallery, after you look at this lecture, I highly recommend you go, because you will see exactly what they were looking at, and actually where they went to visit when they began to paint, okay? So Paris was a hub, and it was where people began to go and think and discuss new ideas. But I want you to understand that also the 19th century was a century of fantastic change. Something kind of as if aliens had come to visit, because the world had changed in a way where things were going very fast and innovation was being promoted, and one of the biggest things was the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution changed the world forever, and I don't think you can go back unless we all blow ourselves up and go back to sticks and stones and caves, because when you began to have industrialization and you began to have people going to work in factories, they began to leave the rural areas. Agriculture no longer was the main employer, if you will, for most of the population of the world. People began to migrate to urban areas. The migration to urban areas is a modern phenomenon, in that when they moved to modern areas, they began to have something called leisure time. We think of it as matter of fact. We have leisure time. It's our weekend. If you're a farmer, your cow doesn't care if it's Monday, Sunday, Tuesday, whatever day it is. The cow must be milked. The chickens must be fed. There's no such thing as a weekend. The idea of a weekend or leisure time is a modern phenomenon, because you have a work day. You go into a factory, you punch a card. You leave the factory, you get out, okay? So that's one thing. Second thing, you have trains. Trains are going to start to take people all over Europe and connect places that were never connected to before. Mobility. This was a huge change. Also, you have social thinking going on. People like Karl Marx. They're coming up with ideas about workers and their rights and how the society should be governed in a radical way, where it shouldn't be just the elite who have everything, or the church. It should be regular people, and they should take back the power. Then you have people like Darwin. Darwin is saying that we evolved, and that there's something called natural selection, where